Just let's wait for a few minutes for our other attendees who usually participate here. I'm sure there should be more participants. And also I'm going to make a stream of this webinar on Facebook. Actually, last time it didn't work for some reason. Let me try this time. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. I see that everything works. Let me just close all other tabs. Okay, fine. Okay, guys, who of you has microphones? Vadim, I turned on your microphone. Who else? Elliot, I can't turn on your mic for some reason. Wait a second. It's because you use your mobile, so I can only turn the microphone on for those who use computers. No, unfortunately, I can't hear you. Use your settings to improve your sound. Okay, anyway, Vadim, try to fix your microphone. Anyway, thank you for coming. And today our webinar topic is the role of the center in flank attacks. And I have a first question for you. What would you do in case if someone who plays against you starts their attack on the king side, attacking your king? How would you play? What's your plan should be if someone starts the attack on the king side with the idea to checkmate your king? What kind of a counterplay? What kind of a counterplay you should find? Okay, if you can't say, you may type here in chat. Okay, so Vadim suggests to play on the opposite flank. Sometimes it makes sense, especially if the enemy king is located to the opposite side when he is castled to that side. Yes, but it's not true when, for example, the king is in the center or the king is located on the same side, on the king side. Okay, we have one more participant. It's Kendra. Okay, fine. Okay, so Vadim, it's not correct when the king is located on that side. Yes, there may be a kind of a counterplay on the opposite side, but in general, you should be looking for a counterplay in the center. And to be able to initiate a counterplay in the center, you should find how to open the center. Maybe by trading the pawns. Maybe it's very rare when you sacrifice something. Usually it's about trading the pawn. So you open the position in the center. What benefits does it give to you? First, it allows you maybe to look for a counterplay. Yes. Secondly, you can join your pieces to the king side through the center. It will be much faster. And the last thing is that you can just trade the pieces through the center. For example, you see one of the enemy pieces is attacking your king or is quite close to your king. You may try to find a way to trade it if the center is open. If the center is closed, you can't do this. You don't have this option. Okay. Actually, this is what our webinar is about. Please look at this position. This is a fragment from the game between Averbakh and Penno. And in this position, it's white to move. What can you say about the center? And I also want you to suggest a plan for white. So what do you think white should do here? Please suggest any moves and plans. Knight f3 and castle. This is what Elliot suggests. What can I say about it? So this is maybe one of the typical moves here. Then to castle. However, then what? Where should you play on? If on the king side, then looks like you have to play knight e1, then maybe f4, but it opens the bishop. So actually, I don't agree with you about knight f3 and castle. That's a possible plan, but it doesn't provide white with any advantage. So knight f3, castle, and play f4. This is what Vadim suggests. Okay, guys, no, this plan is not so good. Knight h3, castle, sorry. Okay, fine. Knight h3, f4. Yes, he may take on h3 with the bishop. So anyway, you want to play f4, but in such a case, he takes and you give a square for the knight and you also open the bishop. For example, bishop can come to d4. That's not so good. As well as f4 immediately. Actually, f4 immediately loses immediately. For example, f4, e takes on f4. And if you take on f4 with your bishop, then knight e4, and you have real problems with your knight on c3. If, for example, we go back, here, if knight h3 in this position, then just bishop h3 is enough, I think. G takes on h3. The pawn is not hanging because of knight e4. What can black do? Play knight d7, rook e8. I'm absolutely sure that black is much better in this position. Okay, so it's not f4, not castle, it's g4. This is how white starts the attack on the king side. And why white may allow himself to start the attack, to make such a move like g4? It's because black has no counterplay in the center. Look, black has no option to trade the pawns. The position is very closed. And the only counterplay he can get is b5, but now it doesn't work, and I'm not sure it would work. As for f5, with another idea to open the position in the center, it also opens the king side and makes white's position even better, because it gives more chances and more options for white to continue the attack. Okay, so as for h4 move, the move that Vadim suggested, what black can do to stop this kingside attack after h4? What would you do if you were black in this position? h5, exactly. h5, and then f3 g4 should be played, but no, for example f3, then knight b2 d7, g4, then for example knight b8 works. Or any other moves, including queen moving back to c7, d8, or b6, because g5 now closes the position. As for g takes on h5, then knight h5, and the position is blocked. That's why it doesn't work. It's better to start with g4 move, because h5 now is a mistake we just take. Okay, in this position, black played with knight e8. So now h4, then he starts f5. One of the typical ways to succeed in this attack is to play h5, because we want to open the file, at least one file, or better, two files to join our h rook or maybe the other rook to the attack. Okay, black plays f4. How would you continue for white now? So now white should find a move that can help him to continue the attack, because if he doesn't do this move, then black can close the position and make this attack, I believe, unsuccessful for white. So how would white continue in this position to keep the attack? g5. This is what, okay, both guys said g5, right? Because if not, then black gonna do g5, and then the position is closed on the king side. Okay, let's go back, and here looks like black has no other option instead of f4. If he takes on e4, then we take with our knight. Queen is hanging. Moreover, our knight joins the attack now. Okay, if here f takes on g4, what if black plays this move? How would you continue? So should we take immediately or maybe not? H takes g6, h takes g6, and then what? Take with bishop. Okay, yes, you may include h takes on g6, or you may play bishop g4 immediately. Bishop takes g4, queen takes on g4, knight f6, doubly taken, but then we play queen e6 check. King h8. And here just h takes on g6, the pawn is pinned. Also, I want you to notice that d6 is a weakness. It's a winning position for white. So that's why f4 was the only option. Okay, then g5, right? To prevent black from playing g5, rook f7. Before rook a7, rook f7 move, what if h6 in this position? How can you play? If so, g takes on h6, bishop takes on h6, then h takes on g6, bishop is hanging, so he has to play something like this, but then we can join our queen to the attack by playing bishop g4, trading bishops, and get our queen there. Now, that's a winning position, of course. Okay, Vadim, let's try to fix your microphone problem. Okay, I'm clicking on turn my... Okay, now your microphone is on. You also... Can you say something? No, it doesn't work, but your microphone is on. Okay, so Vadim, somewhere here in this platform, you may find a button with settings, and then you should choose the microphone. Maybe the problem is that by default, your computer chose another microphone that didn't work, and you should choose the right one now. So please work with settings, and then we'll go back to it and check again. I can also make you a presenter, but I don't think it would work because last time when on our previous webinar we checked this option, the microphone, it worked. You can't find the settings. Okay, what if I make you a presenter? But please don't share your screen. Make a presenter. Okay, Vadim, please say something. Or do you see options? Okay, now you are a presenter. You should see a square with icons of camera, microphone, HD, and settings. I can also turn your camera on. And now the platform should ask about your camera and your microphone. Okay, Vadim, does it work or what? No. That's bad. Can you join the webinar once again? I can actually relogin you. Okay, make a participant again. Camera off. Relogin use. Do you want? Yes. Did something change for you? Okay, the chessboard disappeared. Yes, sorry about it. I'm back. Okay, Vadim is back. Now I turned your microphone on. Did anything changed? I can also make you a presenter and even turn your camera on. So did anything change? Oh, now I can hear you. Say something.
Oh, hi.
Yes, hi. Okay, I'll turn your camera off. Now you can say, now I make you a participant back.
Yeah, I found the button on your screen that said microphone and it was off. I had microphone on.
Okay, now I can hear
turned it
you.
on.
Now I can hear you. Okay, Elliot, please let me know if you can hear Vadim too. Oh, sure. Okay. Now it's much better. And actually, I want more students to come because the webinars are conducted as a group lesson. So where I ask students about the variations and plans so that it's much easier to say it by voice rather than just right here in chat. Okay. So let's continue. Okay, usually there are about five students, not more. Vadim, you can turn your microphone off, and when I ask you something, you may turn it on back and suggest a variation to avoid any additional noise. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again. Let's continue. Okay, this is where we stopped. We played g5 and analyzed h6 move. Rook f7 was played by black in this position. And here I want to ask you how to join more pieces to the attack. The white position is fine. But yes, white may open the H file, of course. He may do it right now or maybe later, because I don't think that G takes on H5 works for black. Then
What
Rook H5.
about what about bishop to G5 or G4?
G4, yes, exactly. Bishop G4. Because now the bishop on C8 is hanging. And there is not much that he can do. For example, if he takes, it's in our favor. We take with our queen. However, then I found such a move like queen b4 in this position, attacking both pawns simultaneously. And now I want you suggest a move to play for white. So what would you do? Because two pawns are hanging. I'm not sure you can play b3. So what do you think what to do?
H takes G6.
Okay, h takes on g6, h takes on g6, and what then?
Queen C8.
Queen c8. So you are taking the knight on e8. Okay, let's put it on the board. Queen c8. Then okay, what if I play rook f8? It's written here, it's shown here, queen e6, and then he has to block with his rook and lose on e8. Okay, so this move doesn't work. What if rook e7? How to deal with it? Elliot, what you think? Okay, the main problem in this position is that two pawns are hanging simultaneously. I really like white's position because it's difficult to find the move for black. Our only task is to solve the problem with two hanging pawns. Okay, looks like nobody. Okay, so no, actually, yes, I think c4 is hanging at least. Not sure about b2, but c4 is hanging. So you mean you can allow black to take on b2 and then play rook b1 and win the pawn back? That makes sense, but how to deal with the hanging pawn on c4? Because his next move gonna be queen c4. Okay, so Elliot is almost right. The b2 is not hanging, and b3 should be played to protect on c4. because if now queen b3, rook goes to b1, queen a3, rook b7, and then the rook on e7 is hanging. If something like king f8, we just take on e7, king takes on e7, and then queen b7 check, winning the other rook on e8. If rook takes on b7, here we have several moves. For example, queen b7 is a strong one because the rook on e8 can't be protected. Also, queen e8 is a good move because the only option is to play bishop to f8, then queen g6, bishop g7, queen e8, queen e6 check, rook f7, and finally g6. Okay, so here if queen b4, queen c8 works, and then we may sacrifice the b pawn. Yeah, bishop g4 was played, and black replied with queen d8 here. Bishop c8, queen takes on c8, knight f3. No, just to try to join the knight to the attack, maybe knight goes to h4. Also, it opens the g file, and here black decides to play bishop f8, king e2. And what if now queen g4? How would you play as white in this position after queen g4?
Pawn takes g6.
And what then?
Rook h4.
Okay, rook h4. Where do you expect the queen to move?
Queen g7, I guess. g2.
G2?
I guess.
How to deal with queen g2? Looks like this queen on g2 stops our attack.
Can't you trade queens and play on the open file?
Yes, I think white is better, but of course there is a much better option. So think what you should do after. Actually, this h takes on g6 is not obligatory to be played right now. So rook h4, queen g2. Let's think about what you may do after queen g2, how to continue the attack, how to get rid of the queen. If you can't find anything, then queen h1 to trade the queens is a possible variation, but of course there is a better line. Okay, Elliot suggests to trade the queens on g1. There is a better move, of course.
Free?
What?
Queen b3?
Almost queen b3. Yeah, actually queen b3 works as well. Yes, it's rook h4, queen g2, and queen c2 or queen b3. Both are playable with the idea to play rook g1. And here you may notice that his queen is trapped and he has nothing to do to save it. Okay, fine. That's why queen g4 wasn't played. It was played rook g7. Rook h4. Well, this move is obvious, just to join the queen to the attack and also the rook to the g file, the other rook. Knight goes to d7, h takes g6, h takes g6, queen h1. Rook h8 is only check. This check was played, king f7. And in this position, it's not easy to find a good move for white, but I'm absolutely sure that something like queen h6 should be played. This is how black moves closer to the king and maybe look for some tactics like knight h4, knight g6. It can also help to join the rook to h file if needed. Knight f8. Rook h1. Rook b8. And now I want you to find what white should do to be able to continue the attack. Because looks like white is stuck on the king side. So what Averberg prepared for his opponent in this position? One more thing that I want you to notice here is that the king is blocked by his own pieces. If only you find how to deliver a check, it can be a checkmate. Of course, in this position, there is no forced checkmate, but you can improve your position, maybe win material, and threaten a checkmate. Okay, Elliot, I don't understand your suggestion to play queen g7. There is a knight here, so he takes with knight, and then what? Okay, even if he takes with his king, you don't have anything. Rook h1 to h7 doesn't work. There is the other knight on f8.
Takes on e5.
Knight takes e5. Okay, let's go through this line. D takes e5. And what's then?
Bishop takes the pawn.
On f4. Like this?
Yes.
Bishop f4, e takes f4. Then?
Then push the pawn, push the e pawn.
Oh, okay. Actually, push the e pawn. I still believe that black is better here. For example, he may sacrifice one of his pieces. Let's say. Oh, actually, let's say after e6, he just sacrifices the knight here. But if we go back in this position, there is queen g4 move that allows black to take on f4 with his queen. And then there is no e5. So knight e5 is a wrong move, but your idea to take on f4 is good. Because if now he takes on f4, you can do what?
Push the pawn.
Push the pawn, right. What else? Actually, yeah, so e5 was recommended here in this position by Averberg. This didn't happen in the game, but he analyzed this game, and this is what he suggests here. But that's not the best move.
Knight to h4.
Knight h4, what's the idea?
To sacrifice and the exchange.
On the fate, and then what?
And then take the pawn with the knight.
But then rook g6. Okay, so you suggest to play this move. Then let's say he doesn't do anything, but you take here, bishop f8. then you sacrifice the knight on g6, but looks like you sacrifice too much material, and he can block on g7 with his bishop or knight.
Oh.
So that's not the best thing. Okay, actually, rook h4. It's not easy to notice this move by the first glance, but you see he has no ideas how to protect the pawn on f4. Actually, the best move that computer recommends in this position is knight f6 or knight e6. So sacrificing a piece and then allowing white to take on f4 with a check and continue the attack. For example, let's say knight c7. Let's assume that he doesn't want to sacrifice, but he wants to escape. Then just rook f4, king escapes, and blunders on g7. Knight f6 is not better because we take, then we take on f6, then join our knight. The position is winning. Okay, another variation e5 that Vadim suggested first. And if here he takes, it's obvious. Then we take with knight, and this is a checkmate. If he plays another move, let's say b5, then we play e6. Or we may play e6 immediately, or we may prepare this move by playing rook e1 first, then king f1, and then e6, because there is nothing he can do. Okay, let's go back. Bishop f4, and in this position, black lost a pawn, but played queen c7. He played queen c7 because white is threatening to take on e5 with bishop, and then on e5 with the knight, and this is a checkmate. So queen c7. Then what would you do? So what white can do to be able to continue this attack? If there is no tactics in this position, I would suggest just to retreat with the knight to g3 or e3, remove the knight from f3 and play f4 to open the f file. Because if then we open another file to attack the king, the game would be over soon. But there is a better move. Okay, so in this game it was played queen h2 first, threatening to take on e5 with bishop, just adding one more attacker, and knight d7. Then queen h3. Knight goes back to f8. How to play for white now? He covered the e6 square with his knight. What we can do?
Take the knight.
Take the knight on f8. Okay, we take. Then if bishop takes, this is a checkmate. He has to take with his king. And then what?
Go queen to e6 to play rook to h8.
Queen e6, rook g8. And now I want you to find the winning plan.
Rook to h7.
Rook h7, threatening to play queen f7 or rook f7. What if knight? Okay, so now let me draw this arrow. Rook to h7. What do you think black can do? Knight g7. Does it work?
I can take another pawn.
On g6, and yes, looks like white has more than the compensation for the sacrificed exchange. Oh, let's make these moves on the board. Knight g7, queen takes on g6. What if he takes on f4? How to play now?
Then go for knight to h4.
Now it doesn't make sense while the queen is on g6. Rook h4, rook f4 is a winning plan again. But if we go back, then in this position, instead of playing rook h7, you could try knight h4, attacking on g6. And then there is no way to protect this pawn. And to take on f4 doesn't make sense too. For example, if he takes, then how would you play?
I would take the pawn with my knight.
Knight g6. Yeah, rook g6 doesn't work. You checkmate like this. Queen g8. What if after this check he goes to g7? How would you play in this case?
I would take the bishop with my knight.
And what are you threatening after that?
Take the rook and also to checkmate. And also
Okay.
to check with my.
To play. Okay, so there is no way to move the rook. Yeah. Okay. Good. And okay, if king g7, then you take with your queen here. King f8, queen h6, then you may join your knight to the attack. Okay, so here bishop d8 was played to get the queen to protect the 7th rank. Knight g6, king to g7. How to play now? Actually, after the next move that was played in the game, black resigned. However,
You can take the pawn.
The pawn with what?
With the knight.
With knight e5. After this move, he resigned. Also, queen h3 is a good move in this position. Then queen gets to h6 or h7. Okay, knight e5. This is this looks better. If he takes, then bishop e5, winning the queen, and then checkmating, I think.
I also thought of rook to h7 and then queen to h6, checkmate.
Yeah, exactly. Rook h7, queen h6. So after he takes here, then as for rook h7 right now, then king f8. So that's why it's better to take on e5, force him to take. And in this position, yes, this option works. Rook h7. If king f8, queen f7, or rook f7. If he captures on h7, then queen h6 is a checkmate. Okay, knight e5. Then if bishop g5, for example, bishop takes on g5, d takes e5, and here rook h7 works. as well as queen h6, or bishop h6 actually. Yeah, bishop h6. And after bishop h6, we just play bishop f8. This is a checkmate. I can show you. Okay, so here bishop h6, king goes to h7, and this move. If instead king goes to h8, we can still play bishop f8. Now queen blocks, but we take, king takes, and queen h6. Okay, fine. Let's go. Here the game ended. Let's go to the very beginning. Here, white played g4. Why this attack was possible for white and black can't find anything to find a counterplay? It's because of the stable center. There was no way to open the position. At the same time, black has no counterplay on the queen side. If he has, then it depends on who is faster. As for this concrete position, I would say that white is faster because he just needs a few moves to open the king's position by playing h4, h5, and taking on g6. Okay, what we're gonna do now, we are going to analyze another game played between Mikhail Botvinnik and Vasily Smyslov. Okay, just wait a second. I will open this game.
Third person. Oh, there's only two.
Unfortunately, yes, there are only two person today. And yeah, this is what I don't like. If you have friends who wants to join the webinar, you can just send them the link. So these webinars are free, at least for a few months, I think, maybe even more. Okay. Sorry about that. Now you see the screen, and this is the game between Mikhail Botvinnik and Vasily Smyslov. We shouldn't discuss the opening because it was played many years ago. The theory changed. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, b6 is queen's Indian defense, bishop b4 is ninja Indian defense. e3 was played. This is a good move. If knight e3, if knight e4, taking the queen, the knight, then queen b3 can be played. b6. So here black decided to mix ninja Indian with queen's Indian, and to play b6 in this position is a really good option because this is how black can get the control over the e4 square. However, I can't say that in this position black played well. Knight g e2, bishop a6 attacking on c4. By the way, how to solve this problem for white now? How to deal with hanging pawn on c4?
b3.
b3?
Queen
if
b3.
Queen b3. That makes sense. However, I think after queen b3, maybe queen e7 gonna be played. He wants to play d5 at some moment, but of course not now, because if d5 now, then queen e4 check, winning this bishop, because knight c6 doesn't work. It will be unprotected there. Queen b3 is a possible option. However, I think a3 is better. This is how white forces black to take, and then he just replaces the knight with his other knight. opening the bishop and protecting on c4. That's why bishop e7. Knight f4 to open the diagonal for the bishop. The pawn on c4 is no longer hanging. d5. C takes on d5, bishop takes on f1. Then which piece to take with? King or rook?
King?
Yeah, to take with the king, because then we want to locate our king on g2. Maybe we'll need our rook on the h file. And this is how we make an artificial castle. If we, for example, take with a rook, then this artificial castle will take more moves from white. Okay, king takes here. It takes on d5, and now this is a strategical, this is a positional question for you. What can you say about the center? And another question, should white initiate a kingside attack or just first prepare it? And if prepare, then how?
Think white should think white should start the attack after he got all his pieces developed.
Which pieces to develop first?
His
You
king.
can suggest, so to play g3, king g2, you mean?
Yeah.
Or what? g3, king g2, that makes sense. I partially agree with you, but I think white has a better plan here. And what can you say about the center? If, for example, let's assume white starts the attack on the king side, can black find a counterplay in the center?
One can't see the board.
Okay, Elliot can't see the board. Why? Let's just double check what's wrong with it. Okay, and sharing. Now you both don't see the board, right?
Yes.
Okay, wait a second. I'm reloading it. Then let me.
I also have one friend that might be interested in this webinar meetings.
Okay, now you see the screen. Which of them?
I can see the screen.
Okay, Elliot, if you don't see, please re-log into this webinar. So you may log out, just close, and then go back using the same link. Let's just wait while Elliot does it. And yes, Vadim, you may invite him to come. Why not?
I'll have to be for the next meeting.
Okay, so our next meeting will be same time on Sunday. I think we will make a break when we'll be on the tournament in October. So I'm going to play a few tournaments, first in Hungary and the other one in Montenegro.
I'm not gonna be from. I'm just gonna check. August 15th. I want to be for one of the on August 18th. I probably won't be able to do the webinar because I'll have a chess tournament.
Okay, I see. Anyway, you can just let your friend know that and give him the link.
Okay.
Okay, just wait a second. Okay, Elliot, what now? Do you see the board? Okay, that's okay. Okay, we are good now. Let's continue. So e takes on d5. What can we say about the center? First, okay, so you, Vadim, you partially replied. You decided that white should first prepare with making an artificial castle g3, king g2. That makes sense. However, I can say that while the center is like this, I am sure that white can start the attack immediately. Why? Because black has no ideas how to find a counterplay in the center, because the center is stable. The only thing he can potentially do is to play c5 and take on d4. But if so, the center is still stable. Moreover, we have two options: to take here with our queen, or to take with the pawn, which is recommended actually because it opens the bishop. And it doesn't really change the position much. So this trade, c takes on d4 and e takes on d4, allows to open the e file, but unfortunately for black, he can't really do anything to use the e file. That's why here white decided to combine two ideas: an artificial castle and the kingside attack. That's why he plays g4, threatening to play g5, taking the pawn on d5. I believe any ordinary player would play h6 in this position. Then, for example, queen f3, attacking the pawn on d5, c6, and what do you think you should do in this position for white?
h4 and attack the weak pawn. And attack the weak pawn on h6 with g5.
Oh yeah, h4, g5. I think he gonna take. We take, and it opens the h file so that we may penetrate his back rank with our queen on h8. He also, okay, I can show you. For example, this move, then something like knight d7, g5, h takes here, h takes here. He takes, queen takes. We are threatening queen h8. And we also may play g6 to get rid of the f7 pawn, and weaken his king, also keeping in mind the idea to play knight e6. Okay, let's go back. H6 wasn't played in this game, instead c6 was played, and of course g5, forcing the knight to go back to d7 now. H4 to protect on g5, bishop d6. And now another question for you. How would you play in this position for white?
I would play queen g4.
Queen g4. Uh-huh. So you want your queen closer to the king side, but this move doesn't contain any threat. Okay, so let's make this move on the board. Elliot, please let me know what you think about this position and suggest a good plan for white or just a move. If queen g4, then castle h5, then what do you think now black can do? does black can find the counterplay? Because for now I see that his pieces are developed better, so he has a development advantage here.
F5.
F5 exactly. If we want to continue the attack, we should take en passant. Knight f6, queen e6 check. Okay, and in case of king h8, how would you play? Knight g6, right. Knight g6, check, and if he takes, we open the h file, and this is a checkmate after he blocks with the knight, and we take it. But after rook f7, he is okay. If now we play knight g6, it's not obligatory for him to take. He can just play any move, including queen d7. And this is where he is better. So that queen g4 is not what we really want in this position. As for pushing the pawns here, like Elliot suggested, then h5 doesn't work immediately. We lose the pawn on g5. And if we play queen g4 first to protect on g5, then he castles and f5 with a counterplay. So h5, queen g4, h5 is too risky for now. We may play queen f3 in this position. This is a possible move. However, I think Mikhail Botvinnik chose the most strong move in this position. He played e4. And he also wants to take on f4 with his bishop in case if black decides to trade. When the center is open, we usually don't attack on the king side because of the counterplay. But here the center is very stable, and white could realize that black can't find any counterplay. That's why he even allowed to initiate a pawn trade by himself. D takes on e4, knight takes on e4. It's hanging now, so he almost have to trade on f4, bishop f4. Now knight d6 is a strong threat, and if he doesn't castle, then his king will be in trouble. Castle, h5. Okay, and if he plays g6, how would you play in this position? How to react on g6 move?
I would take with the pawn. The pawn takes
But
pawn.
then he takes with the f pawn, and okay, I can show you. So h takes. Okay, so h takes on g6, f takes on g6, and oh, actually, maybe I did the wrong thing. Because after that, queen can come to g4 and then to e6. So what if he takes with the h pawn? Now you can use the open file, the h file. Okay, so looks like h takes on g6 works as well. However, another move is h6 in this position. Because now you have a dark squared bishop, you can use the weakness of these 3 squares. So your task is just to play d5, get your queen to d4. Okay. And what if, for example, he doesn't do anything but loses a tempo? No, let's say maybe this move. How would you play in this case? How to continue the attack? If you want to get rid of his pawn cover, then which move to start with?
I think you can start with G6 or H6, both of them.
No, I'm not sure about G6 here. I am okay. G6, for example, it still works. Knight f6. I just like H6 more. Why? Because he is almost forced to play G6 and then, of course, D5, moving the queen to D4, threatening to checkmate. Okay, so H5, G6 or H6 wasn't played. He played Rook E8 instead. Our knight is hanging. Knight D6. Attacking the rook. Rook to E6. How to play now?
Queen to G4.
Queen G4. What are you threatening?
Oh, I wanted to start to push the pawns with my queen helping.
Well, actually, I think you may start pushing your pawns immediately. For example, G6. However, in the game, it was played D5. I like this move. It's not the best one. The best one is G6 immediately. I take it on F7. So if F takes on G6, then what would you do?
Now Queen G4.
B3, Queen B3, using the pin.
Oh, yeah.
He has to play Knight F8. Now H takes on G6, threatening to take on H7. You also keep in mind the idea to play Rook E1, because he can't get rid of this pin. For example, if he plays H6, Rook E1, Queen D7, and then how to play?
Sacrifice the bishop for the pawn.
And then?
Or play Knight F7.
Knight F7, what's the idea? To take on H6 and then to take with your knight on H6?
Yes.
But it's just a check. I'm not sure that you can checkmate. Actually, it's a winning position, so you can even play Rook H6 here, and it's a winning move. But let's find the best way. So what about this move? If knight takes, then we play Knight F5. Then Bishop E5 and just take here. Okay, what else do we have? I also like... okay, what if Knight F5 immediately? Yeah, Knight F5. Instead of Knight F7, you can play Knight F5 with the same idea. Okay, let's go back. So G6. However, I really think that D5 is a good move in this position. Okay, yeah, D5 here. And so here he took on D6, actually. However, what if he goes back to E7? How would you play as white now?
G6 or
G6.
no,
Uh,
H6. H6.
H6. Yes, that's much better because then you play Queen D4. So he decided to sacrifice the exchange. You see, if he takes, then Queen D5, the rook is hanging. Knight A6, and then what would you do?
B4.
What? Knight A4?
B4.
B4. So you want just to trap his knight, but he goes to C7 with his knight. It's not in your favor.
Then play H6.
I think H6 is too slow in this position. Then Knight C7 attacking your queen. Maybe it's still a win, but here you have two good tactical strikes. One of them is Knight F7 immediately. So Knight takes on F7. You see here Knight C7 doesn't work because then Black loses too much material. So that's why here we should analyze this move. And then White continues with G6. It doesn't make any difference to take on G6 or to play King F6 immediately, or King E7. Actually, after King E7, how would you play? There is a checkmate in 2. Any ideas, Vadim?
Thinking about it.
Just tell me which lines you calculate.
I'm calculating queen takes rook, bishop G5, and the bishop D3 or D6.
D6. Okay, Queen E6 doesn't make any sense because that's not enough material to checkmate. As for 2 other moves you suggested, they are possible. So up to you which to choose. One of them leads to a checkmate.
So I found it. Bishop D6.
Okay, bishop D6. Then what if he? Okay, what if he takes?
There's queen F7.
Queen F7. This is a checkmate. And if he plays King F6.
Okay. I don't think this is. Yeah.
No, actually, it's a checkmate in. It's a checkmate in 2. You should see such checkmates, because you are an experienced player.
Checkmate in this position?
Yeah, in this position.
I thought it was checkmate 1 in this position. I couldn't find it.
No,
Okay.
bishop d6 was the first move, and then 2 more moves left.
Oh, then queen f3 and then queen f4.
Right. King g5, queen f4. Okay, fine. So if king e7, it's clear. If king goes to f6, at least we can win. Yeah, this is a checkmate, actually. Okay, what if he takes? Then we take with our pawn, and then he goes king f6. How to checkmate?
Queen g4, g5.
G5, okay. So knight f7, king f7, this is a checkmate. No, it leads to a checkmate. We can play g6. This is another option. Then he takes, we take with the h pawn. It's a winning position. We are threatening the f7 pawn. If he takes with the f pawn, he loses his rook. Also, something like knight c7 won't work here. Why this move doesn't work? What's the main idea?
Rook h8 check.
Rook h8, king h8, then?
And then knight takes with check.
Knight
the
takes
pawn.
with check, king g8. So the king is on g8.
And then take the knight with the bishop.
Queen c7.
And take the rook.
Okay, I see. But it's not a checkmate. There is a much faster way. It's just knight f7 immediately, threatening to play rook h8 on the next move. And rook g6 here won't work, because we can still play rook h8. If rook g6, our knight is protected by the queen. The only other thing I see he can do is to play king f8 move. Then we check him on h8 with our rook. Okay, do you see what we can do? Rook h8, and after king e7, how to?
You can sacrifice even the queen with queen d3, d6.
Oh, no, then king escapes to e6. You should sacrifice the bishop first. And no, it's not a sacrifice at all, actually. Yeah, queen d6, this is a checkmate. Okay, let's go back to the game. So here he decided to take on d6. Bishop d6, of course. He takes on g5. Queen f3 to put some pressure on c6. And then queen takes on d5, queen takes on d5, c takes on d5. So they pass the game into the end game, but with extra exchange for white. However, black has a compensation of 2 pawns. Then rook c1, knight a6, b4 to stop this knight's activity. And then black decides to play h6, like an escape square. And now I want you to find a winning plan for white in this position. Actually, after the next move of white, black resigned. So what was this move and what is the plan? If we just keep playing this position, then I believe it will take many moves for us to realize the advantage. But if only we can find a way how to win more material, then we can win much faster. So please try to find what we can do to get more material. It's a kind of a strategical plan, and black has no defense.
Rook
Okay, Vadim, what do you think? Rook
to h6, I mean
H3.
h3.
Rook h3, and then
Rook h to c3.
c3, and then
And then rook to c8, exchange rooks, and go after the pawn and the knight.
Yeah, exactly. So rook h3, and this is the plan. Go after the a7 pawn, because then knight is hanging. I can show, for example, but I think it's not obligatory because it's not about our topic. So what can I say about the game? Finally, here, White didn't play well, because in this position, even instead of playing d5, he could play g6, and it could lead to a faster victory. But he chose d5 move, which is a good move, or then played this position here. Queen f3 wasn't the best move again, but he just realized that it's okay to pass the game into the end game where he can win. Okay, let's just go back to the very beginning. Not to the very beginning, but to the moment where White decided to play g4. So as I told you when we just started our webinar, that if the center is stable or closed, and your opponent has no ideas how to open the center and find the counterplay in the center, then you may start the kingside attack. Oh, I mean, not the kingside attack, but the attack on the king. Doesn't really matter where it's located, on the queen side, on the king side. You can succeed with this attack on the king, because the most important and the most helpful weapon that works is a counterplay in the center. As for this concrete game, there was a chance for black to open the position in the center, but actually this idea to play c5 and then to trade on d4, e takes on d4, didn't really change anything for black, and didn't allow any counterplay for black. So the main thing that you should focus on when you decide to start the attack on the enemy king, or to play positionally, or to play on the other side, or just improve your pieces positions, is that you should think if your opponent can't find a counterplay, if there is any counterplay in the center. If there is no, then you can start the attack. But of course, you should be always looking at the center. Maybe after a few moves he gets any counterplay, so you should play very accurately. When the center is closed and stable, you can even ignore the center, because when it's closed and stable, there is no actual way to open it. So if the center is closed and stable, you may succeed in the attack. You may start the kingside attack. If the center is just stable but open, you should first look before if there is a counterplay for your opponent. If there is no, then go through and continue with your attack. Okay, good. This is where I would like to finish our webinar. Do you have any questions? Okay, Vadim, do you have any?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, fine. Also, I want you to welcome to my next webinar that takes place next Sunday, same time. I will also notify you about the topic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, fine. Talk to you next Sunday. Oh, wait,
Okay,
Elliot
thank
has a
you.
question.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, you can invite friends. This is what I asked you. No problem. While the webinars are free, you may invite friends. Okay, great. Let's finish. Talk to you next Sunday.
Okay, thank you.